conclude, and thank you all for taking the time to view this video. I hope that it offers a couple of things that are thoughtful, and that you will be willing to either post a video response or at least post under the, type it underneath. So the topic is leadership, and I wanted to approach it from kind of my thoughts about my generation, Generation X, and kind of where we see leadership being and where I propose leadership might be in the future. I know leadership is a really ambiguous term, and it's kind of thrown around a lot. However, I think that there are some certain traits that at least my generation has viewed as qualities or traits that make up a leader. First and foremost, I want to say that leadership is not something that you can force or you can learn in a book. I know that that's been said in a couple of different places. And what is leadership? I would say leadership is the ability to lead other people. I know, it's crazy. But it really is that simple in a lot of ways. I think our Generation X, has become extremely suspicious and untrusting due to just the craziness of things like Chinese lead coming through and toys being harmed. We've had a series of presidents and leaders in political places who have just lied and been dishonest. And I'm not saying that that didn't happen in previous generations. What I will submit to everybody is that because of the technology advances or the technological advances we've had, we absolutely have way more insight. The minute somebody does anything, it's all over the globe. To top that off, we have almost falsely empowered, I think, in a lot of ways, our generation. We are all so unique, and I love the saying that you're unique just like everybody else. And I think that maybe this next generation or my children will help to bring some sort of closure or some sort of balance actually between the generation of my parents, which was you're not special, you'll never amount to anything, and only certain people can make it up the ladder, that kind of thing, which was not to be extremely discouraging, but simply to challenges to overcome, I think. And then my generation, who's come in and said, oh, you're so special, and you're the greatest thing ever, and you will, anything you put your hand to, you'll succeed in, which, is nice in theory, but I think there's some sort of balance there. So where does that leave us with leadership today? Pretty simply, I would say that trustworthiness is extremely important, and I think that it's going to be harder for my kids to be a leader nowadays, because a lot of the things or mistakes that people make are now public knowledge, almost instantaneous, between tweets and YouTube videos and Facebook posts. It's kind of like, it's almost like we become the generation of waving the flag and saying, hey, look right here, this person did this or did that, and that can really undermine followers' opinions and views. So what are the two main keys to leadership, as I see it, for my generation? Number one, consistency. The people that I have respected the most in my life have been people who are consistent. Doesn't mean they always do everything the same, but they, you know what to expect from them. And I think that as people, we thrive much better under standards of repetition. You get up at the same times, you eat meals at the same times, and you tend to be healthy, be the healthiest comparative to random fluctuating schedules. Babies, you can look at, when they are put on a schedule right from the time they're born, they tend to do much better. And when children are sick, one of the first things doctors do is put them on schedule. So that being said, as we get into our adult lives, it is, at least for myself, in my opinion, and I love comments back on this, it is much easier to follow somebody who's consistent than you never know where they're coming from. So consistency would also include truthfulness and honesty. and I would suppose a bit of vulnerability, but not to the degree that you appear uneasy or unsure of yourself. I think there are times to say, I don't know what to do in this situation. Look for some help. At the same time, though, that should kind of be here and there, as far as being able to follow somebody. So to add on to consistency, I would say that individual needs to have clarity or vision. Looking at something that is greater than themselves, working towards something that is greater than themselves. I think that's another just misstep of my generation, is that most of us haven't had an opportunity to serve in a military or an AmeriCorps or something like that, where you really learn that you are extremely unimportant, at the same time you're extremely important, and kind of that dynamic, living in both those realms at the same moment. You kind of learn that in that very structured discipline area. Soldiers understand that. At one point in my life, I thought that mandatory service for the military would be a great idea after some experiences I had at Eastgate Academy, which was a pseudo-military leadership academy where we did push-ups and we ran and climbed mountains and did all kinds of great things, but that's a story for another time. Maybe I will repost and kind of tell my story of Eastgate and some of the things that I learned in that. But as far as leadership goes, I think it's kind of an essential step for people to come to the end of themselves and then move forward. And I think that can only, you can only really gain clarity and vision when you have had that sort of experience in your life. So I guess that would be another thing I'd submit, that you need to either have gone through something really tough, or have been through the military, or have just had experiences in your life where you really learn that lesson that you are extremely insignificant, at the same time you are extremely essential. So to follow up, I think that the next key, or the second point for what leadership is really based on, is relationship. And I think my generation has really embraced the concepts of relationships. You hear all the time, business is all about relationship, but whether it's business or it's social work, whatever you're doing, relationship is so key. And relationship doesn't mean that you have to be, all touchy-feely or lovey-dovey with everybody. In fact, too much personal can sometimes get in the way, because it'll cloud your judgment. At the same time, though, being able to stop and relate to people, find common goals and work towards them, know what people like, how you can approach them, what style you've tried in the past has been unsuccessful, and then moving forward to a new style, a new format. So I really feel that relationship is the key, and would love everybody's feedback here. I know this is kind of could be burdensome to have to type up a message to reply to this video, or make one yourself. Give me a counterpoint, or if you agree, or anything. The whole point of this video is to start a conversation, and this is for an academic project. At the same time, I'll probably check up on it and post some more, and if we get some good conversations out there going. So Generation Xers or other generations out there, give me your feedback. What do you think? Is leadership really about consistency and relationship? And I guess my final point is, do you agree or disagree that clarity really comes when you understand that dichotomy of being extremely insignificant and extremely significant at the same time? So thank you guys.